Let us factorize or simplify this algebraic fraction. Simplifying it, we want to look for common factors that we can cancel between the numerator and the denominator. But as you're looking at this, you see no common factors between the numerator and the denominator. So what you do in such situations, if it's possible to factorize the denominator and the numerator, or one or the other, then do that and see whether you have revealed some common factor, and then you can go ahead and cancel those factors that are common between the numerator and the denominator. Um, the numerator can be factorized because there's a common factor. If you look at it carefully, you'll see that the numerator will be factored down to 6 x y. That's a common factor between the two terms in the numerator. And the other factor now, 6xy into 6xy squared will go y, and 6xy into 18x squared y will go 3. That's a 6 into 18, 3. X into x squared goes x, and y into y goes 1, or it's cancelled, right? So that's the numerator. Now, if you look at the denominator as well, there is also a common factor in the denominator, which is 7. So we can factor out that 7 and see what happens. So we have 7 as a common factor in the denominator. 7 into 7y, that's y, plus 7 into 21x will go 3x. So the numerator and the denominator are factorized. Okay, so let us write that fraction back with the terms factorized. And the denominator is 7y plus 3x. You can clearly see now that there's a common factor of y plus 3x. So that's y plus 3x. We'll cancel this y plus 3x. So the final answer will be 6xy over 7. So again, you factorize the numerator, factorize the denominator. If a common factor is revealed, then you cancel it and you get your answer right there. So again, I keep saying that the main thing here is that you know how to factorize. Okay, once you can factorize properly, then you'll get your common factors if there's a common factor, and then you can cancel. Let's try another example. This one, the numerator is a quadratic, and just remember your techniques, the different techniques to factorize quadratic. This one is an easy one. Because the coefficient of x squared is 1. So just remember, if the coefficient of x squared is 1, that means a is 1, right? Now all you need to do is to look at c and b, right? Find two numbers so that their product is c. So you want to multiply two numbers so that you get negative 12. And when you add those two numbers, you must get positive 1, which is b. Remember, this is 1x right there. So b is 1. All right. Those two numbers in this case are positive 4 and negative 3. So so x squared plus x minus 12. Now that we find the numbers, one is positive 4, so that means one factor is just x plus 4, since it's positive 4, and the other factor is negative 3, so we'll have x minus 3. The other number that you multiply to get 12, well, the numbers that you multiply to get 12 are 4 and negative 3 that you also add to get 1. So since one of the numbers is positive 4, you'll have x plus 4 as a factor. Since one of the numbers is negative 3, you have x minus 3 as a factor. And remember, this only happens when the coefficient of x squared is 1. So when you see that, you should be happy because it will be easy to factorize. So that's the numerator factorized. Now here's our denominator. Again, a is 1. So again, this is another easy one to factorize. This time though, you want two numbers so that when you multiply them, you'll have a negative 6, and when you add them, you'll have a negative 1. B is negative 1. Those numbers are negative 3 and 2. So your denominator Remember, the numbers are negative 3 and 2. So one of the numbers is negative 3, so we have negative 3, so we'll have x minus 3. The other number is positive 2, so we'll have x plus 2 as the two factors of that. So you have factorized the numerator and you have factorized the denominator. So let us rewrite our fraction with the expressions factored, right? X plus 4 times x minus 3, that's your numerator. And your denominator is x minus 3 times x plus 2. Alright? Now, do we see any common factors here? I think so. X minus 3 is a factor of x minus, right? Those are common factors. There are no more common factors, so your final answer is x plus 4 over x plus 2. So this is a simplified version of this big fraction here. Let's try one more example, and please remember you can rewind this video and look back at what you think you may have missed. This one, the numerator is a quadratic. The denominator is just a term, an expression with 4 terms in it. Okay. Let us take our numerator first. Now our numerator this time is a quadratic, but a is not 1, so we'd have to do much more to factorize this. Let us use the AC method to factorize the numerator. We have 4x squared plus 8x minus 5. So what you're going to do is multiply a by c. A times c is equal to 4 times negative 5, and that's going to be negative 20. Then now you want two numbers so that when you multiply them you have negative 20, and when you add them you have b, which is 8, right? The numbers are actually 10 and 2. Now you don't have to guess to find them. You can just use the smallest factor of 20 up to the largest factor, and you'll come up on a pair soon enough. But note that you want to multiply and get a negative. That means the two numbers must have different signs. You want to add and get a positive, so you're going to make the larger one positive, right? So I'm going to take 1 times 20. 1 is the first factor. Yes, that's negative 20 when you multiply, but you can't add those to get your 8. Let's try the next factor of 20, which is 2. So 2 times what? 2 times 10 will give it 20. And again, remember, you must have two different signs. You want to add and get positive, so make the bigger one remain positive. Negative 2 times 10 is negative 20, and negative 2 plus 10 is 8. So we have our two numbers here. So what you're going to do is to rewrite your quadratic expression and split up the middle term, 8, in terms of negative 2 and 10. So let's write that here. I'm going to have 4x squared minus 2x plus 10x. So you see we still have the 8x there, okay? Minus 5, and then you're going to do what they call group and factorize, or use the distributive law twice. These two terms will have 2x in common. 2x into 4x squared will go 2x, and 2x into itself goes 1, so that's minus 1 there. These two terms will have 5 in common. There's a plus, so plus 5. 5 into 10x goes 2x, and 5 into minus 5 goes minus 1. Now at this stage now you realize this expression has a common factor. You're adding two things and they both have a factor 2x minus 1, so we can factor that out. 2x minus 1, and the other factor will be 2x plus 5 times 2x plus 5. That's our other factor. So this is the numerator factorized. This is the numerator, right? That's this right here. That's the numerator factorized. Okay. Let us factorize the denominator now. Here's my denominator. I'm going to factor it over here. The denominator has 4 terms. There's no common factor. But can I use the distributive law twice? Yes, we can. We can do it just as we did this section here, as we moved on from this section. The first two terms happens to have 2 in common, right? So let's try that. So that's 2 into 5 minus 2x, right? and then now um, the next two terms will have 5 in common, so plus right there, plus 5, and this is 5y actually they have in common, and 5 and 2 itself was 1 minus x. Alright, so let's just factorize this. So there's no common factor here actually. So apparently this can be factorized, so that this one is already simplified because this the denominator is not factoring out. So this one cannot be simplified. Alright. Just remember, watch the videos and rewind if you think you're stuck on something. Alright, and just remember, in this case, this fraction is already simplified, so your answer is already here. Alright, because our denominator, there's no, you can't factor your denominator. There's no like term to add or simplify, and you can't factor it, right? So we're stuck with this. So this is your answer highlighted here. The expression is already factorized. You'll get marks for your working during a situation like this. Alright.